Okay, excuse the mess. Still working on it. Only allowed to pick up 10 pounds, so I guess right now would be a good time to clean up the lightweight stuff. But plan is, now that we have the big enclosed enrichment center, as we're calling it, there, I have a couple really long pallets like that, and those stacks over there, and I think like 7 or 9 back over there. So I was thinking, where we have this little fence area to stop Sweet Pea from entering the chickens unwantedly, we could start a post right there, right there, and build a pallet wall that connects to the corner of her bed area there, and then move those 1, 2, 3, 4 posts over here. Hey, I didn't do that. So then I can go, that's 100 feet of wire. I can go from there, bring it a little further out here, come over, and then around, and want to move this covered chicken wire enclosure with the door somewhere over here, because the ducks love this area. Not only because that's where the pool is, but when it rains, here up to about there, and this whole section turns into a pool. So I'm trying to think of a way to give the ducks their own little sleeping enclosure, because they're very, very messy and yucky, and making cleaning this a much bigger ordeal than it should be. So I figure if we rearrange the fencing some, move that over to here, somewhere in this area, put the door facing this way, so 180 it. On the back side, there's a hole in the chicken wire from where I had it connected to the coop over there. So we can give them an enclosure in here with a little nesting sleeping area, but allow them access to the pasture, but not access into the chicken areas. But the chickens will have access to the pig area, into the duck area, so that they can all socialize. Because the ducks are mean. They will walk from one side of the enclosure all the way over to like here, and bite one of the chickens on the back, or on the feather, on the tail, or grab it by the ankle. Chickens have ankles? Well, the ankle area. Yeah, they're not very nice to the chickens. And chickens are nice to the pig because they pick bugs off of it. And if you see my other videos, Sweet Pea over there will just lay down and let 1 or 2 of them go to town, just cleaning the bugs off of them. But yeah, I want to move the fencing, increase the square footage of where they can roam, give the ducks their own enclosure with nesting area, and then because we have these trees that are all in between, I was thinking, this is a big part of it. On the other side of Sweet Pea's enclosure, there's a little white picket fence that we just step over. That's going to be replaced with a pallet wall. Yeah, right there. So a pallet to replace that and connect it to the other structure. We could No, I want it to stop there. And then because of that, we have this tree, this one, that one, a few of these over here that we could use. But I can run a guideline from like that one in between these two over to one of these, and then from there over to that one. Actually, it would have to be that one, and then connect it over here. And then I could use bird netting to connect to the pallet fencing, to the guide wire, and the chickens would actually hopefully stay in their enclosed areas. Because I'm going to be very, very upset if I move all of these blocks and all of this dirt underneath this silver and blue tarps that Ghost loves walking on top of is all the garden dirt from the other house, from all the raised beds. But because we have all these low spots that flood, like right there, came up to like here, if I remember right, somewhere in this area. Half of this was underwater, about half or a little more than half of that one was underwater. All that was mushy. That was more than ankle deep in that little corner right there. So all these beds are going to get shifted that way. I think we're going to take these bigger logs and make the bed out of those. Like that one. Cut that one into 3 or 4 pieces. Cut that one into 2 or 3. Cut that into 3 or 4. And make the border out of these. Use some of that mesh wiring, like the hardware cloth that we have up front. Put that in the middle, make a U shape or an N, however you want to look at it from whatever perspective you have, or C or backward C, depending on your angle and position. And use that as a little compost funnel. And then the whole thing will be eco-friendly, and I won't have to worry about the limestone leaching out of the blocks. I can get another load of all this wood dropped off. The guy that does it lives like 3 blocks over that way. It's kind of cool. Chop it up and make all the beds out of that, and then we could make a storage shed out of all the block. I like that idea. We got some sweet potatoes finally growing. I put the container back up with the help of who was it? Who's helping me with this? EJ. Yeah, I think it was EJ and maybe Leroy, a visit or 2 ago. They're doing pretty good. I need to space them out and start to cover them back up here in a little bit. Got a long way to fill. But this is like a fifth of the yield from last year that we buried for starts. I gotta get the rain barrels cleaned out and set up so I can start collecting water. If anybody has an idea on a way to keep those filled, possibly using 1 or 2 of those tanks, so we can throw some feeder fish and maybe try to stock it with something, that'd be really cool. So leave something in the comments if you have an idea. There is poison ivy back in there and some ticks. I do have to fix the fence somewhere from that corner along that corner. His dogs like to come over, and they haven't done anything malicious yet, but we don't know their temperament, and we have these 2 plus all these guys. Better safe than sorry. I do know that the bigger dog used to go over to their house before we move in and steal his toys and take them home. And every few weeks he would bring a box of toys back over to them and say, here you go. We haven't had any toys come up missing yet, but I do want to get the garden started. But to do that, they have to be secured because they will ravage everything. Because of the sun, literally it comes up just to the right of that, goes straight up, cuts the house in half as it's crossing, and sets all the way in the front there. So we get full sun all day long, all the way across, except for right up against the house in the front in the morning, shade, right up against the back, early afternoon, starts to shade out this way. So I created a bed here, and as soon as I did, the next morning, that was completely covered with straw, 98%, and the chickens found it and said, nope, we're going to investigate that. So yeah, it was either fence in all of the garden and vegetable type areas, or enclose the chickens and secure certain areas to allow them out at times. Have you guys seen the hamster balls for chickens? I thought those were pretty nifty. That'd be pretty funny. But what I do want to do is along the fence line for the pasture area is grow a bunch of different herbs, like all the cilantro and the parsley and the rosemary and thyme and anything else that my wife says, hey, I need this, or I want this for a recipe, because we can harvest this side, and as the plant gets larger, they'll stick their little beaks and bills through and they'll eat on that side. So it's almost like pre-seasoning, maybe. I know it don't work that way, but so yeah, the fencing will end up coming. I don't want to bring it any further than like here, because I need to be able to get the mower through there. If we cleaned up the other end just a little bit, I could get the mower in through there. This hasn't really grown too much, and it did get a little mushy when it rained. Not very bad, and it gets a lot of shade. So this could be a good spot for something. I got the hand mower, the little push engine right there, and we have this little guy. We have a weed eater and a bush trimmer, and we have a zero. My main goal is to make it so where I don't need the zero turn. I don't like grass. It doesn't do anything for you. You have to take care of it. You got to maintain it, and it costs a bunch. And so I'd rather replace the grass with clover and creeping thyme and flowers, and down with grass, up with pollinator ground coverage. Yeah, so that's the current status. We've got enough pallets, I think, to do what I was thinking. Actually, I think there's enough pallets to expand this little pasture area to allow them more ground grass coverage. I will be using some of the wiring up front that you saw, the hardware cloth, with some of the pallets and or just pallet scraps. Make long 2x4 enclosures with the wiring in between, and then plant clover and thyme and all that other stuff underneath it, so that they can't scratch it out of the ground, but it'll grow up through the mesh and they'll be able to eat on that. Yeah, we could build off of here, give the ducks their own little enclosure, expand on the pasture area, giving them more of the flood area, because come hurricane time, this is going to probably be a foot deep. So I really hope it doesn't go inside there. I know it won't go in there, but it might go in there. We're renting, so I can't afford to bring in dirt and raise everything. Yeah. Progress. Plans. A lot to do. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, definitely let me know. Because as you can see from this position, the wire could run from here to that palm over there, from that palm over to that cypress, and from that cypress to that sweet gum, and then that sweet gum to this guy, and this guy over there, and just run bird netting up 4 or 5 feet above the pallet wall. I should keep all of them in. Yeah? What do you think? We have not had any issues with predators yet. We got several houses and none of the neighbors have talked about seeing anything, but I do have cameras set up, so if something does come in, we'll end up seeing it and I can take more preventative measures. I do have an automatic door, and they're up off the ground a couple of feet for when they sleep. Sweet Pea would definitely wake you up if something tried to mess with her. Yeah. Happy gardening. Don't have too much fun. Stay dry, happy, healthy. See you later.